This is a TalkStation original podcast.
On this week's episode of the Paper Boys podcast, we talk to Bryan Hanks of The Bryan Hanks Show. He tells us about Kinston losing yet another minor league baseball team, his journalism background, and how newspapers have changed. All that and more this week on the Paper Boys podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Paper Boys podcast. I'm JJ Smith.
And I am Zack Nally.
And we are sports reporters for the Carteret County News-Times. Welcome to episode number 4. Our third guest, the famous, the infamous, the mayor of Kinston, Bryan C. Hanks.
Well, hello, gentlemen. I am honored to be on your show. Thank you for contacting me.
I call you the mayor of Kinston. Obviously, that's an unofficial designation. I hope nobody thinks that. I hope you don't get any phone calls after that asking because the roads aren't done or anything like that.
No, it's all good. Listen, Bryan North does the same thing. He calls me that too. I take it as a compliment. I love this city very much, and you know what, gentlemen? If one day I were lucky enough to be elected the mayor of Kinston, I would consider that an honor.
I wouldn't put it past you. Bryan's got one of those resumes where you take a deep breath and try to rattle it out all in one deal, but you'd probably pass out if you did. So I'm not going to give his whole deal right now. I'll just give a few things, and we'll maybe touch on some of the other things later on. He is the host of the Bryan Hanks radio show, been doing that since 2019. Also, if that wasn't enough, he's the Lenoir County Public Information Officer, been doing that since 2016. He's the Kinston Boys basketball public address announcer, been doing that since 2009. Used to do public address announcing for the Down East Wood Ducks. He's also, is there some Lenoir County Chamber of Commerce deal going on there, Bryan, that I'm missing?
Yeah, I'm a marketing assistant for them, and I've been doing that since 2016 also. So, yeah, you pretty much hit all of it. Used to do the John Wall Holiday Invitational. I was the assistant director for that from 02 to 04, and then I have been the director since 07. Or I'm sorry, from 02 to 07, then from 07 to this past year. And I had resigned from that, was going to give that up, but a mutual friend, I know you guys know Junior Smith III, he's gone through some health issues. He was supposed to take over for me this upcoming year, and now it's looking like they may be dragging me back in up in Raleigh to do that again, just before they get somebody else hired. But my plate stays pretty full, gentlemen.
You sound really lazy.
Yes, I am. Oh, let me tell you guys, I get a nap in every chance I get. In fact, that's what I was doing just moments before we started this call, okay?
Power nap.
And what's the deal with ECU? You're the backup to the backup?
Yes, I am. That started a couple of years ago. I guess this will be my third year. I do baseball, men's, women's basketball, women's soccer, women's lacrosse, and softball. But like I said, like you said, I'm the backup to the backup. But I end up doing about 25, 30 games a year for in all those sports, and that's fun too. Listen, as I like to tell people, I have a voice and I will travel. So there you go.
You don't say no. Is that what you're telling us?
Let me tell you something. My significant other, Linda, she gets on me because yes, if somebody asks me to do something, then I'm going to do it. For instance, this weekend coming up, we're having a big sports alumni weekend, and Jerry Stackhouse called me and asked me to do an award ceremony. I already had something planned. Actually, Linda and I had a date, and I had to cancel that to help Jerry. And Linda wasn't real happy about that, okay?
and then this Yahoo JJ Smith gets up with you about coming on his podcast, and you're like, sure, I'll do that too.
As if you didn't have enough already.
Well, listen, I know the legend of JJ Smith. I mean, he has been, and I mean it sincerely. This is not insincere at all. I mean it with all sincerity. He has been the voice in the wilderness of private schools in eastern North Carolina, or not just eastern North Carolina, and all over North Carolina, dominating at the 1A and 2A level. And I'll tell you this, JJ, I have enough connections, although they're all leaving one by one, but enough connections up in Chapel Hill that you've hit a sore spot with them several times, man. They know the name JJ Smith and the NCHSAA headquarters up in Chapel Hill, okay?
Yeah, I don't think I'll be getting any awards from them anytime soon.
No Christmas cards?
Dude, have you ever noticed the people that get those awards, for the most part, are sycophants of the NCHSAA anyway, and I think I would almost be insulted, even though I did win a regional award back in 2008. But I think I would be almost insulted at this point if I got an award from them, because it would just mean that, hey, you're sucking up to the association. And as journalists, JJ and Zack, we shouldn't do that. We should be the ones holding their feet to the fire, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, kind of like what JJ has done with the private schools and, them being in 1A and 2A sports in the state of North Carolina.
Well, let's stay on a negative note here. Then we wish we could talk about something positive right off the bat here. But your beloved Kinston, Bryan, for the second time in about 15 years, has lost a minor league baseball team, and we thought there'd be nobody better to get up with and ask how and why.
My heart is broken. You're right. We lost Kinston Indians back in 2011 when this not a very nice person named Steve Bryant up in Zebulon stole them and rebranded them as the Carolina Mudcats. That's a story for another day. But hey, if you've ever heard me talk about the Mudcats, it's never just the Mudcats. It's the hated Carolina Mudcats or the hated Mudcats. But like I said, that's a story for another day. Ask your boy Richard Clark. He can tell you. He can give you all the details with that because he lived right here in the middle of it in Kinston when that happened. So we got the Down East Wood Ducks from the Texas Rangers back in 2017. Well, actually 2016, but their first season was 2017. In fact, their general manager right now is a guy is a Swansboro High School graduate from down in your neck of the woods, and John Clemens, just a salt-of-the-earth guy, just an awesome guy. Basically, the short version is why we're losing the Down East Wood Ducks is twofold. One is the pandemic that happened in 2020, and then, about a year and a half ago when Major League Baseball bought minor league baseball, and they decided to they shed a lot of teams that year. I think they got rid of 28 teams that year. And they made it to where you, even at the minor league level now, and we're at the low single A level here in Kinston, you've got to average about 3,000 to 3,500 fans to be financially feasible. So what has happened is the folks that are the Texas Rangers who had bought the Down East Wood Ducks, they have sold it to this baseball holdings company who right at this moment owns about 12 or 13 teams, but their goal is to own about 50 minor league teams, and we're just part of that. And they found a city in Spartanburg, South Carolina, that has pretty much promised them the moon and the stars and everything else. So we've got the team for this year. We're about 95% sure we're going to have them next year in 2024. But they're going to have, this is not an exaggeration, gentlemen, a $250 million facility that's going to be built in little Spartanburg, South Carolina. That's going to be kind of like, I don't know, are you guys familiar with what the Atlanta Braves did with their new stadium? You know, where they've got the stadium, then they've got a whole, basically, they build a community around it with restaurants and hotels and, you know, all these different kinds of shops and stuff. That's what they're going to do in Spartanburg. They've guaranteed them they can put 3,000 butts in the seats at $20 a head, you know, for a whole minor league baseball season. And even Kinston at its very greatest has never averaged more than 2,100 or 2,200 fans a game. And it's just economically, it's not feasible anymore for a town, the city of Kinston size, to be able to have a minor league baseball team. So there's about a 20-minute version to this, guys, but I knocked it down to about 2 minutes for you there. But that's why Kinston will not have minor league baseball or affiliated minor league baseball after the 2024 season, probably ever. And
that's it, you think, Bryan, for minor league baseball in Kinston? That's the final nail in the coffin.
Oh, absolutely. Now we'll have the Morehead City, you know, like the Morehead City Marlins. We'll have a Coastal Plain League team. In fact, I'm on the mayor's committee for professional baseball here in Kinston. We've already been contacted a couple of times by Coastal Plain League. We've been contacted by the Old North State League. There's a independent league that has teams in Gastonia and in Greensboro that wants to put a team here. Because you don't, with those, they're short season teams. They're going to be 30, 35 home games. Heck, if you average 600 fans a game for that, you're a rock star city or a rock star town. And we can do that. I mean, we're averaging right now right about 1,400, 1,500 fans a game at historic Granger Stadium. And this is what I've tried to explain to people, just to try to talk people off the ledge around here. And there are people on the ledge that are really stressed out about this. But you guys know this, being sports reporters. The average minor league baseball fan, whether it is for the Down East Wood Ducks or if it's for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans or, heck, even for the Morehead City Marlins or the Holly Springs Salamanders, whoever it is, and I know Jacksonville's getting a team too next year, your average 90% of your average fans are not going to know the difference between a Morehead City Marlins team and a Down East Wood Ducks team. They don't even go for the baseball altogether. I mean, they go for the experience. They go for Thirsty Thursday. They go for all the, you know, the amenities around the park. We've got a really nice part of the park now called Mother Earth Pavilion, where it seats about 300 or 400 people, and it overlooks like the right field line of the ballpark. 90% of your fans, they're not going to know the difference between that level of baseball. Now, there are the 10% of fans like me, you, JJ, or, me and JJ and Zack, who are going to know the difference between that, and, we're going to see the level of baseball is down. But the majority of fans aren't going to be able to tell the difference. And I think we're going to be just fine right here in Kinston with a Coastal Plain League team.
Yeah, these teams are an outlet for families to take their kids, their spouses, and have an outlet to go just be somewhere and out in the community and hang out. And you don't have to have something that's too economically heavy or something that requires too many butts in the seat. And, a Coastal Plain League team with a city the size of Kinston sounds like that would be a good fit.
It will be. I mean, we had one back. Well, it was still, believe it or not, I don't know if you guys know your CPL history, but the Coastal Plain League up until 1972 or so was still affiliated with Major League Baseball. In fact, it's so crazy to go back through those histories and see, you had AAA, AA, High A, Low A, B League, C League, D League. I mean, it was crazy, the levels of professional baseball in America at that time. And I'm talking, this was like back in the 30s up until probably the late 60s, early 70s. And the CPL was like a C League professional baseball league at that time. It's not that, obviously, this, in this juncture in history. But, again, we're going to be fine here in Kinston. Yes, I'm going to miss it. I'm not as heartbroken as I was in 2011 when our team was ripped from us. This is kind of different. It's just sort of a sign of the times kind of thing. And while, yes, I will still be a little heartbroken, we're still going to have baseball here in Kinston. And you know what? The sun will come up every morning, and we'll have a bad hurricane every 6 or 7 years. And guess what? Life in eastern North Carolina and Kinston will go along just fine.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back more and talk with Hanks.
Get ready for crashing, bashing, and never-before-seen things during a night of destruction. Saturday, July 15th at Carteret County Speedway. The Bomber Shootout kicks it off. Then things you shouldn't hit with cars. Push race, bracket slam race, backup race, tire stack race, and more. Gates open at 5:30. Action begins at 7 at Carteret County Speedway. Tickets are just $15. Kids 10 and under free. Plus military discount to active and retired military with proper ID. Night of Destruction, Saturday, July 15th. Get your tickets now at CarteretSpeedway.com and on Facebook.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Paylor, college baseball umpire, and you are listening to Paper Boys Podcast.
Bryan, this is with the Wood Ducks and the Indians. Is it a situation where the Wood Ducks is a financial situation and you don't begrudge them leaving, whereas the Indians was a whole different deal?
It sounds like you're trying to get me to say some bad words here. No, I won't do that. No, the difference with the Indians was we were doing well financially. I mean, the team was doing great. I don't even mind saying his name. He's out of the game now, but his name is Steve Bryan. He was the owner of the Carolina Mudcats at the time, and basically he paid 2 times what the Indians were worth, the Kinston Indians were worth, to move the franchise, to get the franchise from the Cleveland Indians and move him up to his little terrible stadium up in Zebulon. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Five County Stadium, but it is just a cookie-cutter piece of crap stadium that he has up there in Zebulon. And so he moves the team up there. He pays twice what it's worth. I mean, and listen, I love what I do, but if someone offers me twice what I'm making right now to move, I'm probably going to do it. And that's exactly what happened with the Kinston Indians back in 2011. Then the guy had the nerve. I was the editor of the Free Press here in Kinston at the time in 2011. And that son of a gun had the nerve to try to put ads in our newspaper saying, hey, miss your team? Come up to Zebulon and watch them up here. And he put billboards around Kinston to that effect, okay? Like I said, your boy Richard Clark, who works for you guys down there, he can tell you we had 4 or 5 billboards around Kinston that said, miss your team? Come to Zebulon and see the Mudcats.
Wow.
And he tried to put an ad in the newspaper, and we shut that down pretty quick. But that was what happened back in 2011. And this deal with what's happening now with the Wood Ducks and them being moved to Spartanburg, it is a financial thing. I mean, they've cut so many teams, and here's the bad news that I don't think Spartanburg or anybody else wants to hear. They're getting ready to cut lower A, too. I think, and maybe even A baseball. I think we're going to see the time, guys, when there's just AAA and AA, and that's it. That's going to be the entire minor league system for professional baseball. They just don't. Professional baseball or the major league guys, they don't see what is, the advantages of having low A and high A. And the word around baseball, and what I keep hearing is within 3 to 5 to 7 years, it's just going to be Triple A and Double A. You're not even going to have the lower minor leagues of baseball any longer.
The Kinston Indians, man, what a heyday that was, Brian. They had 10 division titles. They had 5 league titles. I read where they had, at the height, there was 100,000 going through the turnstiles each season. 7 years in a row, they made the postseason. That was a Carolina League record. I remember back then, it was nothing for Carteret County folks to get in the car on a Friday and Saturday night.
My parents took me, certainly.
Yeah.
Went to several Kinston Indian games growing up.
Go hour and a half left and head to Kinston for a night. That was
place
pretty
was
usual.
bigger than life to a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I was blessed. Like I said, I hadn't told you guys this yet, but I got to North Carolina or Eastern North Carolina in 2002. So I had the advantage of being here during that streak when they made the playoffs so many times in a row. I got to see them win 3 titles. Got to see them win a title on the field at Granger Stadium up in Wilmington, Delaware, and then the Down East Wood Ducks would win a title down in Myrtle Beach back in the inaugural season of 2017. And it was, especially with the Indians, it was a lot of fun. And it's ironic, especially with me doing the show here with you Carteret County guys, the general manager of the Down East Wood Ducks is a Carteret County guy, like I said in that first segment, John Clemens. And his story is amazing, guys. He was one of you Carteret County kids that, would come up and go to 5 or 6 games a year or whatever, maybe a little bit more than that, probably 7 or 8 games a year with his dad. And by the way, his dad is a big fan of your show. You've got to give Greg Clemens a shout-out, okay? Greg Clemens has listened to all 3 episodes. He is the one, not just before you got in touch with me, JJ, but Mr. Clemens is the one that said, hey, you've got to listen to this. Sent me a link to it and sent me the link to your first episodes, man. So you've got a super fan already in Greg Clemens who lives in Swansboro, okay?
Nice. We'll take it. He's the president and only member of our fan club so far.
There you go. He is the president and inaugural member of y'all's fan club. But back to John Clemens for a moment here. This is just really awesome. Like I said, from the time he was just a small tyke up through high school, he would come to Kinston Indians games. They had at Swansboro High School, they had a career day. What would you like to be 10 years from now? I think it was, where do you see yourself 10 years from now, 20 years from now, something like that. Anyway, what John Clemens said was, I'd like to be the general manager of a minor league baseball team. So what his teacher at Swansboro encouraged him and everybody else to do, if you wanted to be a doctor, contact a doctor. If you wanted to be a lawyer, an airplane pilot, all that. So he was encouraged to get in touch with a minor league baseball GM. He gets in touch with North Johnson, who was the general manager at that time of the Kinston Indians. So he sends him an email. John sends North an email. He's like, I don't know if he's ever going to contact me back. Before the day was out, North had already contacted him back, told him, hey, come up here to a game. I'll let you be GM for a day. You can shadow me. You can see everything we do and all that. And so, like, within a week of him contacting him, he's up at Granger Stadium following him around, and the bug had just totally bit John at that point. And look at him now. Here he is, 19 years after being the valedictorian at Swansboro High School. He's the general manager of the Down East Wood Ducks and actually spoke at their graduation a few weeks ago.
Brian, from the outside point of view, 5 years ago you're driving through Kinston and it's like a revitalization going on. You've got the Chef and the Farmer, you've got the Boiler Room, you've got Mother Earth, you've got the Wood Ducks. And now 5 years later, again, from the outside point of view, there's no more Chef and the Farmer, there's no more Boiler Room, there's no more Wood Ducks. It seems like it was 5 steps forward and 10 steps back. What's the state of Kinston these days?
Very fair question. Seriously, that is an extremely fair question. Yeah, we have suffered a few losses. Of course, from the sports side point of view, with us losing the Wood Ducks probably after the 24 season, that's a pretty big deal. Chef and the Farmer, it really did help a lot. And I'm not going to denigrate them whatsoever, but the thing with Chef and the Farmer is it didn't really, this is going to shock you guys, but it didn't really help our economy that much. They're the owners of Chef. Yeah, they had the TV show, but they were just very insular. They were into themselves. They just took care of themselves. They didn't really do anything to help downtown. I mean, other than people coming in from out of town to go visit Chef and the Farmer, they didn't really. As someone who's been here for 20 years and saw Kinston as the absolute lowest in that 2002 to probably 2006-07 range or something like that. Honestly, guys, Chef and the Farmer really didn't do that much for downtown Kinston other than bringing people in. Now, let me tell you who has done a lot for downtown Kinston, and that's Stephen Hill and Mother Earth. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to visit the brewery in downtown. Stephen Hill is he's the messiah of downtown Kinston, and I mean that sincerely. Not only does he have the Mother Earth brewery, not only does he have the Mother Earth tap room where you can go in and enjoy a nice brew, he has helped develop Kinston and even not just downtown Kinston, but he's got a whole artist community, guys. He bought, this gentleman, Stephen Hill, bought 30 houses, dilapidated houses that were in bad shape, rebuilt them, and he's an artist himself. He has artists living in those homes for a nominal fee, and what they do is they are helping rebuild downtown Kinston, or helping make it into an artist haven. So, yeah, I can see from the outside where folks might say, with the Boiler Room and Chef and the Farmer gone, and now with the Down East Wood Ducks on the way out, it looks bad, but I challenge you guys, come to down, and I know, here I go, I sound like the Chamber of Commerce here, guys, but I challenge you to come to downtown Kinston, and I mean, there are a lot of restaurants. Yes, they're not at the national quality of Chef and the Farmer, but we've got just a slew of restaurants in downtown Kinston right now. It is becoming a foodie place. I see downtown Kinston being like downtown. We're where downtown New Bern was probably 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when they were starting to rebuild, and you had all these little restaurants and clubs and saloons and bars and all that. That's where we are right now in Kinston. It is a live place on Friday nights and Saturday nights in Kinston, and there are too many places to go. I mean, we have probably 2 or 3 nice clubs downtown. We've got, like I said, we've probably got 8 to 10 restaurants downtown now that you can visit. And again, they're not national, they're not nationally known like Chef and the Farmer, or even regionally known for the most part like Boiler Room was. But there's so much to do in downtown Kinston. We've got the Mother Earth Lodge that Stephen Hill bought too and refurbished, and it is like a 50. Have you guys ever been there before, the Mother Earth Lodge?
I've seen it. It looks fantastic.
Dude, it is so awesome. They rebuilt it to be like a 50s type hotel or 50s type motel. I mean, yeah. The colors are vibrant. Yeah. The rooms are they look like you're stepping back in time to the 1950s, maybe early 60s, and it's affordable too. That's where the out of town teams come when they come to play here at Historic Granger Stadium. That's where they stay, and just you ought to hear the reviews. It is an amazing place, and again, Stephen Hill is just an amazing person. He's a Kinston native who grew up here. His family found their wealth in retirement homes and adult-type homes. Every penny of money he makes goes back into Kinston, which is what he's done with Mother Earth. Guys, like I said, hey, I don't blame you for saying that. From the outside, you may say, well, Chef's gone, Boiler Room's gone, the baseball team is leaving, it must be done. Nah, we are more alive right now in downtown Kinston than we have been in the whole 20 years I've been here, and what the folks around here tell me since the 60s and 70s.
Well, and it's not like just because the Wood Ducks are out, it's not like baseball is leaving the town. You said you've got interest from other leagues coming in. Is there a team that's playing there already right now in the Kinston Wingmen?
Yes, the Kinston Wingmen. That's an old North State League team. Now, it's sort of like a Coastal Plain League team. If you were, this is kind of weird to put these on, if you're comparing it like to Major League Baseball and the way minor league baseball is set up, I would consider, and I guess you guys would too, the Cape Cod League, up in the Northeast. That would be the AAA of all, woodbat college leagues. I would consider the Coastal Plain League probably a low AA of that. And then this old North State League, which started, I think, 3 years ago or so, that would be maybe even a lower single A type team. Okay. All their teams are based here in North Carolina. I think there's 15 teams right now. They're all based in North Carolina. And it's a fledgling league. I mean, they're trying to do their best. They're over at Lenore Community College right now, and they're averaging probably about 150 to 200 fans a game. And they're making a little bit of money, and it gives people here in Lenore County, we're so spoiled. I can tell you this with baseball, with the Down East Wood Ducks, with that team, the Kinston Wingmen. We're very lucky to have them. Then on top of it, too, we have a very good American Legion program, too. It was so funny, guys. I looked at a calendar over the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I think. There were 2 nights out of that 7 weeks where we didn't have some form of baseball going on here in Kinston, Lenoir County. How about that?
Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and talk more with Hanks.
In 1959, you could buy a new house on the coast for about $12,000, a new car for $2,000, and fill it up with gas for only 25 cents a gallon. Everyone was cruising the beach, listening to the Platters, the Coasters, and a young guy named Elvis. And when it was time to eat, they all ended up at L's Drive-In in Morehead City. For over 60 years, L's has been serving up our world-famous super burgers, shrimp burgers, oyster burgers, and our mouth-watering fried chicken and barbecue. This coastal tradition of great food and friendly and fun customer service means L's is proud to be serving our 3rd generation of regulars. And we're not done yet. Drive in and pick your spot under the old oak trees, next to the hospital in Morehead City. Then prepare your taste buds for a coastal tradition like no other, providing the best food, service, and atmosphere in Morehead City since 1959. L's Drive-In, next to the hospital in Morehead City.
All right, we're back with Bryan Hanks. I'll give people a little background on our relationship. Bryan's been a member of our football pick'em panel where we pick the high school and college and pro games on every weekend, off and on. And I checked the other day, Bryan, first time you were on that was 2013.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know we went back like that.
Well, I got to tell you, though, you got to give some love to your boy here, though. Who won last year? Who was the champion of the Carteret County News Times Pick'em panel, I believe? I think it was your boy Bryan Hanks, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't going to touch on that, but go ahead. And then so Bryan killed all of us last year on that, and then me and Bryan started running into each other in Fayetteville, like around 2013, 14, 15, for the regional basketball championships. East Carteret boys were on that magical run where they went to 3 straight regional finals. They went to 2 straight state finals, won a state championship, and then talk about magical run. That was when Kinston was winning 4 in a row with Brandon Ingram. Talk about heydays, huh, Hanks?
Oh my God, you talk about being the right guy at the right place at the right time. Dude, I have been so blessed, so absolutely blessed. I got here to Kinston in 2002. They've never had less than 18 wins in a season. That was a low water mark. They went 18-7 one year, and that was as bad as they've done in the 21, 22 seasons I've been here or whatever. I've had the honor to cover 6 state championships over there, including those 4 in a row that you alluded to there from 2012 to 2015. With Brandon Ingram and Darnell Dunn, the only 2 players in the state of North Carolina history that have won 4 state championships at the varsity basketball level. Wow! And just blessed, man. I mean, on top of everything, you alluded to it earlier too. When I got out of the sports side, I went over to the dark side, gentlemen, and became a news guy in 2008. And at that time, they asked me to come over and start doing PA for the basketball team, for the boys basketball team. So I got to PA championships in 10, 12, 13, 14, and 15. They're so generous. I don't know if you guys know Wells Gullidge or not from Kinston High School. You know I'm talking about. The former head basketball coach at Kinston High School is now down at Ashley High School in Wilmington. But in 2010, I emceed their ring ceremony, and they surprised me and shocked me and gave me a ring that year in 2010, and they gave me rings for the other 4 championships. So how many sports reporters or news jockeys or news monkeys like the 3 of us are that have 5 state championship rings? Yeah. But I do, gentlemen, and I'm proud of them. And I just, like I said, dude, the right place at the right time, and just so lucky, and they're so classy over at Kinston High School, and in all our places. I don't want someone to be listening to this from North Lenoir or South Lenoir and be like, well, what about us, or Parrott Academy for that matter? I'm so blessed to be in a community that really cares for their own. They have taken care of me in the time that I've been here. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but you probably do, JJ. But I went through a really rough time in my life. Richard definitely remembers. Back in 2014, I lost my wife to cancer, and I got to tell you, I was ready to give up. I was ready to move on. And, gentlemen, the way that this Kinston and Lenoir County community just surrounded me and hugged me and took me in as one of their own, even though they had done it before, but just I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, just people just bringing meals to the newspaper, and people just helping out when I needed help. This is a microcosm of it, guys. At that time, I was renting an apartment here in Kinston, okay? I'd been there for 10 years. Well, I got hit on some pretty bad financial times taking care of my wife, who was dying in front of me. And the guy that I rented from, my landlord, let me live rent-free for 4 months because he knew what I was going for. And then even when I was able to pay him back later, he wouldn't take the money and said, hey, you know what, give it to the United Way. Do something like that. I don't need it. I'm good. I just wanted to help you in your time of need.
Wow.
That right there, gentlemen, is just a microcosm. And I know you guys have it good down there. I know Greg Clemens. I talked to Richard. I know how much he loves being down there in the Carteret County community. But I'm telling you guys, I am so blessed. I'm so lucky to be in Kinston, Lenoir County, and be surrounded by people who support each other, guys.
I don't know anybody who loves it as much as you, and you're not even from there.
No, but it's my town. It's my hometown now, guys. Yeah. I mean, I have had, as you guys have had, I'm sure, to move away from there. I've had opportunities in Raleigh and in Charlotte, and when you always write. I know you guys have done this being in journalism. You put the list together. What are the pros? What are the cons of taking a new job or going somewhere else? And dude, just nothing can beat just having the hearts of the people that I'm surrounded by. Yeah. Even right now, I'm talking to you, and I'm sitting here in my office, and all my neighbors all around me right now are just great people. We look out for each other. I was on vacation last week, and one of our cars got broke into, and my neighbors were over here they heard my alarm going off, and they were over here within minutes, chasing somebody through my backyard, okay? They picked the guy up a couple of streets over. That's the kind of community that I live in, guys.
Being a part of Kinston basketball also means Bryan Hanks is on IMBD.
How crazy is that one, guys? Have you had a chance to watch that documentary? Because it's called Something in the Water.
Right. It
was something that a Kinston native, Marcus Mazzell, put together, and it's awesome. I mean, it is just absolutely awesome. He asked me to be a part of it, and I was very blessed. That's true. I mean, you'll love this. My nephew saw that on my niece saw that on IMDb and said, "Did you know you're on IMDb?" And I'm like, "What?" And that was such a fun project. We've had Baxter Holmes from ESPN came in and did a big story on us one time. I was a part of that project too, and just blessed, guys. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm way, 100 times, 1,000 times more blessed than I deserve to be, okay?
Yeah, the documentary is Something in the Water, a Kinston basketball story. It was an Emmy winner, and you can watch that on Prime Video. And then the ESPN piece that Bryan's talking about was in 2018 by Baxter Holmes. It's a long-form piece. It's America's basketball heaven. The tiny hometown of Brandon Ingram and other NBA stars has faced biblical floods, economic devastation, gang violence, even wayward nuclear bombs. It has become the NBA capital of the world. This is the untold story of its survival. I would recommend both watching the documentary and read that long-form piece. They're both fantastic.
Well, and like I said, just blessed to be a part of both of those, and blessed and honored to be a part of both of those. And what I liked about both of those were, you guys know, especially working for the small town paper that you guys do, and as you say, JJ, and I agree, and I say this on my show when I have Richard on every Tuesday. You guys you're the best small-town paper in North Carolina easily, in my opinion, probably in eastern United States. I can't really say anything about the western United States, but of the papers I've seen, you guys do a great job. But you know how someone will fly in, be in town for 6 or 8 hours, then fly out and then write a big piece like they've been here forever. That's not what Baxter did. Baxter came in, and like you said, it was published in 2018. He came in 2016, 2017 on like 5 different visits.
Oh, wow.
He must have spent, I'm not joking, guys, he must have spent 40 hours here, or more than that. What am I saying? He must have spent, I don't know, probably 12, 13, 14 days altogether doing that piece. Marcus Mazzell, when he came in to do Something in the Water, he, like I said, he's a Kinston native, so he knew the area already, but he lives in Los Angeles now, but he flew back and, taped all those things and followed Dontrez Styles, by the way, who is now at Georgetown University. That's the big part of Something in the Water, is that he followed him as a freshman and a sophomore over at Kinston High School, and now here he is at Georgetown. He was at Carolina for a couple of years, now at Georgetown, and he spent, who knows, months putting that piece together. So as journalists, I know you guys appreciate when, even if it is someone who comes in from out of town, that they do it the right way. They don't just come in, talk to 3 people, and then leave, or, come in, interview or maybe not even come in, but just do stuff over the phone. these journalists, and they are Baxter Holmes and Marcus Mazzell, they did it the right way. And I'm not just saying that because I was a part of it. I mean, he talked to a heck of a lot more people than me to put those pieces together and did a great job on them.
Bryan, give us a 2-minute bio of who you were before you got to Kinston and how you got there.
Okay, 2 minutes. Let's see. I was born in Sparta, North Carolina, northwestern North Carolina. Grew up in a little town called Thurman. It was not even a town. Maybe 75 people lived there. Went to Trap Hill Elementary School, then graduated from North Wilkes High School. Was a frustrated athlete. Always thought I was better than I actually was. Wanted to be, the star basketball player, but never was. After high school, I was in the Army. When I finished the Army, I lived in Charlotte and in Gastonia for a while. Went to school at Central Piedmont Community College. Graduated from UNC Charlotte, and was a teacher for 4 years in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. But was a stringer at night working for the Gaston Gazette and the Charlotte Observer and the Shelby Star and all those kind of papers, and did that from 91 to 98. And got out of school in the summer of 98 and said, you know what, I want to be a reporter. So basically at the age of 30, I completely started at the very bottom. I started working for a 3-day-a-week paper in Lincolnton called the Lincolnton Times News. Moved from there to Gastonia to Shelby in about a 4-year period. Then a buddy of mine that I went to college with, Drew Loftus, was the sports editor and then became the news editor of the Kinston Free Press and said, hey, we need a sports editor here. He got me here in 2002, and my goal was, gentlemen, I was going to be the next great ACC basketball writer. I had written for several magazines and several newspapers doing ACC or doing college basketball. So I told them, hey, I told Drew, I'll be in Kinston for 2 years. But I'm climbing up the chain, baby. I'm going to be the next great ACC writer. I'm going to be Michael Wilbon or Tony Kornheiser or one of those guys. And got here at Kinston, fell in love with Kinston, and I've been here ever since.
Awesome. Let's take one last break.
Hi, folks. Bob Lowry here, and this episode of the Paper Boys Podcast is brought to you by the Carteret County Speedway. Kids Camp 2023 is now going on. With more room to bring your kids out, we have some opening spots. It'll go from now until August. The Kids Camp is an incredible experience for your child to come out and get the basic knowledge of racing, go around the track, learn sportsmanship, learn a lot of different things when it comes to racing, about the flags, about the rules. They come out, they have fun. We've got 2 classes each day, 9 to 12, and then 2 to 5, so for the little older groups. So please come out, go to CarteretSpeedway.com, find out more about us, and we'll see you at the Carteret County Speedway.
We're back with Bryan Hanks, host of the aptly named Bryan Hanks Show, which is a award winner, if I'm not incorrect, Bryan, right, of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, how crazy is that? Just a few weeks ago, I guess 3 weeks ago now, named the Small Business of the Year in Lenoir County by the Lenoir County Chamber of Commerce. Very, very surprised, very honored by that.
And Bryan's coming up on his 900th show. He's going to do a home and home series with us. We've got him on today. He's going to have us on Tuesday at 8 a.m. And Bryan's a radio man, but he's also one of the things we love about Bryan is he's a grizzled old newspaper man. He was sports editor of the Kinston Free Press for 2002 to 2008. He was a news editor of the Kinston Free Press from 2008 to 2012, and then the editor of the Kinston Free Press from 2012 to 2016. Bryan, in the state of newspapers these days, it's a struggle many places, especially with corporations coming in and taking over. And why don't you tell us about your former paper and just the basic state of journalism in Lenoir County and Kinston these days?
It's at an all-time low, and when I say an all-time low, I'm going back, gentlemen, to I guess the city was founded in the late 1700s, and a newspaper was here in 1830 or something like that on. We're at a worse state than we were in 1830, guys. How about putting that in perspective? 200 years later, we had better news coverage 200 years ago than we do now in 2023, which is insane. But I love newspapers. Like I said, as I told you in the last segment, I was a teacher in Charlotte-Mecklenburg and a stringer at night from, 91 to 98, and just loved. That was what I loved. And don't get it twisted, I loved being a teacher too, but I lived for those nights of going and covering games and doing all that. And I was so lucky, guys, to come up in that 91 to 98 time, and even from 98 till I left newspapers 2016, for the most part working for a company called Freedom Communications. And I'm a libertarian at heart. I think the Democrats are full of crap. I think the Republicans are full of crap. I sincerely do. I think I'm a libertarian. I think the government should be out of our lives as much as possible. And how lucky was I that the paper that I did most of my stringing for from 91 to 98 and then that I started working for in that 99 range was with Freedom Communications, just one of the great companies in newspapers. I think we owned at one time 75 or 80 papers across the country, including the Gaston Gazette, the Shelby Star, the Kinston Free Press, the New Bern Sun Journal, the Jacksonville Daily News. And so when I went full time, I was in heaven. I mean, and I hate to tell you guys this because it's going to break your hearts the way the state of newspapers are today, but that, I mean, you know, they sent us off for training. They wanted us to be up to date on everything. I mean, it wasn't anything for me to be, I mean, dude, I want you guys to try this one on for size. I was a stringer for the Gaston Gazette in 96, 97, 98. They sent me to football games in Green Bay, to Chicago, to Miami.
Goodness.
As a stringer. Can you imagine? That's what the thing with newspaper, and just in case, Kinston, we're a news desert right now. We do have an online news source called News News. I helped form that back in 2018. The owner and I kind of saw different on a few things, and I got away from it. I had better opportunities, including doing radio stuff. So. But it is basically, it's a news blog. I mean, he does the best that he can do, the owner of News News. He really does. But it's basically a news blog. So we don't really have a news source here in Kinston right now. We're not lucky enough, and I'm not sucking up to these guys. I'm being very sincere. We don't have a Carteret County News Times or a CarolinaCoastOnline.com. We don't have that here because of the way the owners, the Gannett's and the Gatehouses and the McClatchies and all the owners of newspapers, they really don't care about the people that work for their news agencies. That's why I think, and Richard and I have talked about this before, on the air, off the air. You guys are so lucky to have a family-owned paper that your owner cares about you. He cares about the community. It's not just some faceless entity that owns the paper and is trying to squeeze every single dime, every single penny, you know, that he can out of the community before he shuts you down. And that's where we are in Kinston right now. We have the Kinston Free Press, which, guys, we won 27 North Carolina Press Association Excellence in Journalism Awards back in Richard could help me here more, but it's either 2011 or 2012. I know we won the Newsroom of the Year. We won the Sports Department of the Year for our class and all that. We went from that to now it's now a weekly newspaper that I think is 8 pages and is read by 77 people. I think they put out, they try to throw them in yards, but people throw them in the trash, but it has 77 subscribers right now. That's where we are right now in Kinston, Lenore County, and it is sad. It makes me sad. I gave so much of my life to the Free Press and all my other entities. In fact, I like to brag, JJ and Zack, that if you cut my wrist, ink would come out. I mean, I love newspapering and newspapers that much. But we're just in a really bad state, and I don't see any type of recovery for that.
And you know, with that, you're losing vital things. You're losing people covering, you know, municipal town meetings and government, county commissioners, board of education, and all these vital things that a democracy needs. Journalism you have to have for a democracy to thrive, but also, you know, the fun stuff, the happy stuff, and that's sports. And you know, I was so pleased to see this year that the New Bern Sun Journal, after a 3-year absence, was returning to sports coverage. And I know y'all were lacking there. And Junius Smith III was somebody who was trying to fill that gap with his own website called ENC Moments.
Junius is, listen, you guys can listen to me for a little bit, and you know I've got a pretty big ego. I mean, I don't even try to hide it. I am who I am. People told me all the time, in my time that I was a sports editor from 02 to 08, that I was the best sports editor that ever came through. And you know, and I'd pat myself on the back, and we had the awards to show it and the coverage and all that. And I agree. I was the best sports editor the Kinston Free Press in this area has had when I left in 08 and when I went over to the dark side, over to the news side. But I hired Junius Smith III in 2014 or 2013 as a government reporter. He left a little bit. He came back, and I hired him as my sports editor. Gentlemen, he was the best sports editor. And this is me, the guy with the biggest ego that you know, telling you this, so you know it's got to be true. the best sports editor this area has ever had. I mean, I have never seen, and then I'm including our area. I'm not including Carteret County in your neck of the woods, okay, guys? But I'm talking about Kinston and Lenore County. No one had ever done it the way he did. The coaches loved him. The athletes loved him. The parents loved him. I mean, he is just an amazing guy, but he got washed out with all the newspaper stuff when it went down. He was with us with Noose News for a little bit, but when I left, he left also not long after that. And like you said, guys, he started encmoments.com, which basically he was a one-man operation. I would write for him once in a while. A guy named Keith Spence, who's a longtime sports writer here, just a legend here too, worked with him too. But for the most part, 98% of the articles that were written for ENC Moments was by him. Our good friend Junior Smith III, he started, I guess this was now about 9 weeks ago. In fact, we were at a ring ceremony for the Parrott Academy football team, and he started getting dizzy, and he just didn't look right. His coloring wasn't right. He just looked really peaked. That's what the old people used to say, look peaked. You guys know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he just looked bad, and then I think it was like a weekend after that, his parents called me and said that, just to cut to the chase, basically he has a brain tumor. He had a brain tumor that had been growing. It was about a golf ball size over his right eye, and they had to go in and take that out. And I guess that was 7 weeks ago or so now.
Jeez.
It's been a very slow recovery, guys. I mean, he still can't speak. I've seen him, I guess, 7 or 8 times. I hadn't seen him for about 3 weeks until this past Sunday, and I got to go up and spend about 3 or 4 hours with him. He still can't speak. He can really only open one eye, and it's his left eye, not the eye above where he had the surgery. Just rough times, man, for him and his family right now, and I would encourage everybody. Go to my Twitter page, @BCHanks, or go to my Facebook page, just Bryan Hanks, and I've got it pinned to the top of both of those. If you can give to help out, we're so blessed. 277 people. This is what I was telling you about Kinston and Lenore County, gentlemen. 277 donors. We've raised $27,280 for Junius and his family. And if you've got it in your heart, even if it's $5, we've had people donate as little as $5, as much as $3,000. Had one donor give $3,000. Whatever you can give to help, I promise you, it's going to a good place to help someone who is just like JJ and Zack. I mean, community sports writers who care about their community and has given much of his professional life to it.
Bryan, that's all good stuff. I'd like you to encourage everybody to give whatever they can give, and Junius is really a beacon there in Kinston for the young athletes who want to get their name and faces online. And Bryan, you've done that for so long in Kinston, whether it was at the newspaper or now with your radio show, and we're just so grateful to have you on. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, my honor. I can't wait for the home and home. I get to grill you guys on Tuesday. How about that?
We're going to be ready. I don't know, though. We might not have much to say if you met us before.
No, this is going to be fun. Can't wait to introduce you guys to the Kinston and Lenore County market.
Awesome. Thank you, Bryan.